A decent junior cricket bat can now cost between £300 and £400. Add pads, gloves, bags and club fees, and parents can easily spend up to £1,000. Has cricket become a sport only the wealthy can afford? On this week's show, we're going to discuss the cost of playing cricket with former England international Sajid Mahmood, who's recently launched Reeqip, a powerful new cricket marketplace that is set to change the game for cricketers across the UK and beyond. Saj, welcome to the show, mate. Thanks for coming on. Junior cricket in England is actually growing. I mean, the stats around cricket failing and participation sports dropping, but junior cricket is growing. I looked at the ECB's stats. They must be right. It's the ECB. Jonesy says that about the ICC, but I'll say about the ECB. About 1.4 million.
Yeah. Good evening, by the way.
Yeah,
Good evening.
Hello, Geraint.
I am here. Yeah. Never mind me.
That was my professional intro for YouTube that you've just screwed up. About 1.4 million under 16s play the game, and with more than 1,000 kids, Saj, entering through the ECB's All-Stars and Dynamo's programs this year. I mean, look, it's great the kids are playing the game, but how big a problem is the cost of equipment?
Yes, it's very expensive. I mean, the research that they did up in Yorkshire, I think, and the cost of just playing at the bare minimum was they sort of costed it at around 700 being the minimum, £700, and that's extortion. People, especially with the price of living nowadays, they don't have that type of money just laying around. Generally, a lot of the time in families, it's not only one person that plays, right? It's 2 or 3 people that play, so it becomes very costly for families. So yeah, I think cost of entry to sport is a huge issue.
Jones, did you see that with you've got 2 boys, you're teaching cricket, you're teaching hockey at school. Are you finding that? Are you finding that equipment cost is an issue where you are?
Yeah, listen, I'm also very aware I work in an independent school where probably this, a number of the kids, it doesn't particularly affect them. But if I think we're also in an area of Kent in Thanet, which has some deprived areas. And so what we do see is that not every kid does have cricket equipment, even though they're all playing. So from a school point of view, trying to have a stock level which can allow the kids to play a sport that we love has become really hard over previous years. And we're relying on students that are leaving, parents donating old kit to us. And so it I suppose the perception is that people just think, oh, independent school, you got loads of money. But the price of equipment to buy down, even though we have some good contacts that really look after us, it sort of really limits what we can do. So the kids are playing with old pads, bats that are broken. And so it's a definite issue that just over the last sort of 5 or 10 years it seemed to have just gone stratospheric with the cost of stuff.
And Saj, and the thing that you two both share is you're both ex-internationals that become teachers. Hopefully, Saj, when we get to a point where we're playing the quiz, you're going to be better than Jonesy is because he's appalling. I mean, I feel sorry for these poor kids that he teaches, but that's a whole different issue.
All right. I'm not great. All I know is a bit of cricket and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think he'd played, right? Although he does tell me he wasn't around in the 1890s when Headley Verity or whoever was playing. Yeah, you're teaching in the state school system. Did that play a part in how you came up with Reeqip?
Slightly, yeah. It was actually because of them. So we got invited to Lords for the Knight Stokes Cup, the launch and the media day. So I was on the panel at Lords with Vorney and a couple of other guys. And a great initiative, getting as many state school kids playing cricket as possible, with a final for both the girls team and the boys teams to play at Lords, right? I mean, who doesn't want to play at Lords, the home of cricket, with so much history? And I left there and I thought, look, it's such a good idea, but ultimately, how do we keep those players in the game? So how do we actually keep them in the game? And a study showed that people with their own kit are more likely to play sport and stay in the game much longer than people that don't have kit or have to borrow kit or something like that. So then I thought, well, why don't they have the kit? And then the costing came in. Like, it's so expensive, like we just touched on already, that the cost of cricket especially, there's so much equipment, it all adds up. So that was the biggest reason why people don't stay in cricket. And that's pretty much where Reeqip was born, really. And look, there's there's millions of people sitting around who don't play the game purely because they can't afford it. But on the flip side of that, there's a lot of us at home who have perfectly good condition equipment lying around doing nothing, and ultimately will end up in the bin, which will go to waste. So I thought, how can we marry that up? And that's pretty much where Reeqip came, is for people of all ages and abilities to be able to buy and sell quality pre-loved sports equipment, basically. And that's where the idea came from.
So tell our listeners how it works.
So it's very simple. If you have an item, you just list it on there. Someone else, if they're interested in a bat, for example, they'll just buy it and you send it off. It's very similar to platforms like Vinted. I don't know if you've heard of Vinted, which is a clothing platform for pre-loved clothing. So it's pretty much exactly the same as that, but for sports equipment. So it's not just cricket; it's all sports, because the price of equipment. Yes, cricket has a lot of equipment and obviously that adds up, but also tennis rackets and hockey sticks and football boots. One parent was telling me the other day that he went to an Adidas outlet with his son, and his son picked up a pair of boots and they were like £300. And he was like, you can put them back on the shelf. So look, it's not just cricket. Like, all sports equipment now is getting very, very expensive. And like I said, we've all got kit which we as individuals and people can say, you know what, I don't use this anymore. Can this be an opportunity for someone else who can't afford that kit? And another thing I just want to touch on is a lot of the times we expect the big boards and the organizations to sort of help grow the sport, right? Which, yeah, of course they have a responsibility, but I really do believe we have a responsibility as well, especially if we've got kit lying around. So I think it's our time as well just to say, look, I've got this bat or these pair of boots that I've worn once or twice, or maybe the bat that I've used once and don't play again. It's not just equipment lying around. That's opportunity that's lying around. So can we get that onto Reeqip and then see if people can actually play with that and get them in the game and keep them in the game?
Josie, I guess that's just the resale market or the second-hand market for sports equipment. I suppose it's something you're familiar with, given your fondness to play golf.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it's amazing, and I think there's probably a number of clubs that are doing a similar. Talk specifically cricket. I know that there's some local clubs that do, at the start of every season they'll have they'll put the table out, won't they? And especially kids that grow so quickly, and so that willingness to do it for a club. So to have an organised site where, exactly like Saj says, we can go and have a look in the garage. I might even have some old Puma stuff out there that's lying around that I could put in. Saj, were you a Puma guy for a while? I'm trying.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's when I thought about it. I remember you doing it too. So, yeah, and it is that fact that to be able to put it on there and potentially make a little bit of money. People are all over Vinted at the moment. My mate Patch, that I mentioned in it quite a bit, he's a big Vinted. So yeah, and I think it's brilliant because you're right. Otherwise, it just gets old, it gets mold. The mice get to it, and you just bin it. So an opportunity for someone to sort of make that decision, and there is more people leaving cricket due to time constraints and family. So that having that ability to go, right, okay, this is going to go up there, and I know it's going to get used is fantastic.
Yeah, and just to touch on that, Jonesy, that the club stuff. So we're working with a few clubs which we haven't really mentioned just yet. We will do in the coming weeks. But foundations and clubs, like you said, they already have equipment that gets donated to them. But the people who turn up to them clubs are probably the people who have donated the kit. So the kit actually doesn't get sold; it's just sat there. So what Reeqip does, it gets that stuff on the site, and people from all around England can say, you know what, the bat in, let's say, in Bromley club, but everyone from Bromley sees the same bat they just donate, so they don't want it. So how do you get rid of it? Someone in Manchester might say, you know what, I really quite like that bat for my son or my daughter, so I'll get that. So it just widens that opportunity for them guys to then, rather than that stuff being sat in storage, can it get sold? And same with the foundations. So foundations get a lot of kit given to them. And then so Reeqip's main aim with the foundations and clubs is, can you list that stuff, sell that, and then use that money to reinvest into clubs, whether you reinvest into delivering a wider program, whether you reinvest for new kit. For foundations, you might reinvest into new kit to give to schools or clubs that you've earmarked that you want to look after. So it's sort of building that circular economy within sport. And that's a good thing about Reeqip, is that it's not just for individual buyers and sellers, it's for organizations like the foundations, it's for cricket clubs, it's for football clubs, it's for clubs just to make money and reinvest that into the grassroots level and their clubs as well.
And especially, just thinking again with a bit of my school head on, one of the biggest costs that a club and or a school is new balls every year. And so a facility to generate and almost have that ability to cover those costs off by what you're doing with your selling of kit, then may have the knock-on effect of having cheaper subs. So instead of having to pay a £10, they're paying £5, which then makes it more accessible. So that ability for a club to use that site as a revenue generator is as well. That I think a lot of clubs would be really excited by that.
No, absolutely, yeah.
And where are you in the journey, Saj? Is it live? Can people start using it now?
So it's live. So we launched it on the 1st of March. So people are getting stuff on there. People have started to sort of actively buy and sell on there now. Obviously, like any site at the start,
just going to go find some
hiccups here and there. So it's just about it's just about seeing how it all works. There's a little bit of logistic stuff that we're trying to figure out. But yeah, it's live. It's live, and a lot of people have spoke to me about it. How do we get it up on the site, their equipment and stuff? Me, obviously, being involved in cricket, people tend to think it's just a cricket platform, but it's actually a platform for all the sports.
Right.
Because it's not just cricket, like I mentioned before, they're expensive. All of the sports are very expensive as well. So if people listening out there got stuff lying around, and get it onto it, just get on there and stick it on.
And it's reeqip.com. Is that the URL?
It's reeqip.com, yeah. So it's REEQIP. A lot of people spell it REEQUIP, but it's no U in there.
Right, okay. I've spelled it wrong twice in the notes then, which is a good effort. We'll put a link in the comments or on when you get this podcast out. Jonesy, I don't think they've got a section in there, mate, for your eclectic collection of crap memorabilia, including your kangaroo knackers bottle opener that you seem to have acquired that you like to shake about on this podcast. So it's for sensible stuff. And also, we're just going to find a whole load of orange wicket-keeping gloves dumped onto there soon, aren't we? I think that's what's gonna, of all sizes.
Saj, this is all I get, mate. This is what If
I think Jonesy's got a couple of good Puma sticks in there that you can probably get on there. I'm pretty sure people are after them.
I'm just having a look now on there, and there's
all right.
Yeah, there's the classic KP Woodworm and Freddie Woodworm. There's one of those on there which is sold.
There,
and that looks a decent bat, and that's £50. So that's exactly what we're talking about, isn't it? Which that's there is some new stuff as well, but mate, there's a lot of stuff sold on there. So it looks like it's got off to a great start.
Yeah, it's going well. It's going all right. Hopefully we can look. Our main aim is to grow sport and get as many people playing the sport as possible. Like someone asked me once, "What's your goal? Like, where do you see it?" And I just want all sports to be played. Like so many people involved in sports more than ever before. I don't know how I measure that. I'm not sure, but I want Reeqip to be right in the middle of being a driving force to get as many people playing the sport as possible.
There's a cricket box for sale for £4. I'm not. It's sold as well.
No damage. Cricket's interesting, isn't it? Because when you're younger and you're playing, you're not sure if you're going to be a batter or a bowler. And as you start to get into sort of, what you enjoy more, you make that choice. Clearly, if you're a bowler, the cost of entry into cricket's a lot cheaper if you end up being a batter, with pads and stuff. How does that? I guess the question there, Saj, as a bowler, really, is what advice have you got for young bowlers to enter the game who've got a
Yeah, look, I think if you're just bowling, having a pair of boots becomes a lot cheaper than having equipment. But I find nowadays it's slightly different. Obviously, everyone has to bat as well, right? Long gone are the days when I was younger, when we had kit bags, and I'm sure you guys remember the big kit bags we used to have at clubs. And we'd go in there and we'd wear the left pad was a Gunner Moore and the right pad was Kookaburra or whatever.
With those green spiky things on the gloves. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
exactly, on the gloves. And also, so we're quite happy using that, right? I think the problem now is social media. So it's created this thing where people constantly look at each other, and kids especially, and adults. What bat have you got? What gloves have you got? What boots are you wearing? What, all that sort of stuff. And if so, someone mentioned, why don't you just do kit bags? I don't think kit bags work anymore, because the last thing a person wants to do now is come and use kit. And I think they have this awareness that people are watching them coming and using kit, and be seen to be not um as well off as them. I had an instance at the academy in November, and this one boy used to keep coming to the academy and kept watching. I was like, join in, mate. I'd like, bat or ball, and he goes, no, I'm all right. And we have loads of kit at the school, so I said, take this kit home. It's just laying there. I'm not doing much with it. Take it home, and that's yours. So if you ever want to play the game, just play it. He came the very next session and started playing. So I was like, okay. So I left it for a month, and I asked him, I said, why didn't you play? Like, you can bat nicely, you bowl quite well. So why have you not played? And this is what he meant. He said, I didn't want to use the kit every time I came, because people would think I was poor using the kit. So I just didn't play. And I was like, wow, unbelievable. And I think social media and the world that we live in now has created that. If not, I think the kit bags would still work, but I don't think they work anymore.
And Jonesy, as a keeper, I guess, keeper batter, did you, when you were growing up in rural Australia, was it the kit bag? Sorry, I try to do that without laughing as well. You did really help me. Was it the same thing there? I mean, did you have kit bags lying around and you just picked up whatever you could find to do what you did?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was a big part of it, where you would you'd see the coach get the massive bag out of his back of his car and bring it in there, and it was a different level of thinking. You were happy to dive into it, and it almost became it became part of it. To that sharing of kit, you got out, you had to quickly scrap with your mate to get the good pads, and
Yeah.
see what the bat was like. But what Saj is saying there is that perception now of exactly that. If you don't have your own kit, and it is something that I do see with the youngsters I coach, is that they want to have their own kit. They want to, in a way, they want to have the kit that their idols have. And so there's so many elements now that come into it. And I think they're also a bit aware of sharing. They look at it and think, oh, hang on, they've just worn that. I don't want to wear that. Whereas, when growing up, you put whatever sweaty stuff that your mate had just used, if you'd put it on and away you'd go.
Box aside, I hope.
And box aside, yeah.
Actually, that does lead on to a really bad last question. What is the most iconic, cheap, I guess, kit that you guys ever owned? The problem is, you got, when I say cheap, most of the stuff you got was given to you. So let's assume that before you were sponsored by Puma or whatever, you actually had to buy something. Anything stand out that you remember that you was iconic in your eyes?
I always used my dad's kit.
Did
So
you?
I've always used my dad's kit when I was younger. I had pads coming up to my belly button. I had gloves that were too big, a bat that was way too heavy. And I played that all the way through to about 13, I'd say. But my dad played, so I was quite lucky. So I had all of his hand-me-downs, and I was using a lot of that. And like you say, once you then get a professional contract, then I think you just get kit given to you. But I do remember buying the one Grey Nichols bat, actually. And I think I've still got that somewhere in the garage. But yeah, I've only ever bought one cricket bat, and that was a Grey Nichols. It was a really gun bat as well. It was a gun
Well,
bat. Somehow I got some runs with it.
Yeah, I had to be a bit thrifty. I made my own set of sort of compression shorts, which you then could slip some foam into, for the comfort level. So I remember doing that. And another thing I remember is actually refurbing a bat for my brother and taking that, the care to do that. And it was in the days where you linseed oil, getting the stickers right. So as a youngster, I did all that because, again, I didn't have the funds to do it. I'd go into the cricket shop and dream of Duncan Fernley bats were at the time, the Simmons Super Tuskers. So in Australia, the War Boys use those and stuff. So, but I'd have to save up a long time. So along the way, I'd have to be thrifty and sort of do your own bat refurbs and and all the likes of that.
Yeah, Sajid, Reeqip sounds like a fantastic venture. I'll put the website name up in a second, and all the
Thank
best
you.
with.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good luck, sir.
You mentioned it earlier, Saj, about the Barclays Knight Stokes Trophy, which is an MCC initiative, I guess. I think, yeah, as you said, Michael Vaughan and the Black Heart Foundation had a role to play, I believe, in its inception. So, just for those who don't know, it's a national cricket competition for state schools, named after the England captains Ben Stokes and Heather Knight. It's designed to open the game up and give talented players from the state school system a proper pathway, if you like, into cricket. You're on the board, Saj, aren't you? How did you get involved?
Yeah, so we got invited to Lords to take our under 15s team to play a sort of an exhibition match on like a media day. And then I got speaking to some of the guys, and they were like, "Look, would you like to be on the board?" Because we have a lot to do with the MCC at the school as well, so they'll come and deliver some programs and that sort of stuff. So it was sort of it felt natural just to be a part of that. And they asked me, look, this is basically what it is. Is to get as many state schools students playing cricket as possible. Would you like to be involved and get on the board to help see how we can move things forward? And I was like, absolutely, yeah, I'd love that. I mean, I spend day in, day out schools in William Perkin, the school that I work at, which is a state school, and I see kids who don't really have kit wanting to play the game. We're quite lucky, to be fair. As a state school, we've got quite good cricketing facilities. But I also know in the summer when we play other state schools, is we have to host them a lot of the times, and we have to let them borrow our kit because they don't have kit and they don't have facilities, right? So the whole reason behind the Knight Stokes Cup is to allow these state schools the opportunity to play the game, because a lot of these students don't have access to facilities or kit or anything like that. So I think it's important that we can get as many people playing as possible.
Yeah, they've got over 1,000 skate schools signed up to the first year. So this is the inaugural year of it. It starts in April, I think, the regional rounds. But as you say, the final is I think September the 10th at Lords. And there's
Yeah, something like
regional
that. Yeah.
finals at county grounds and that sort of type of thing as well. So it's going to be a great and important initiative by the MCC. What's interesting here, I think, for me is you're both teachers, both played for England. One works at a state school, one works at an independent school, fee-paying school. There are going to be obvious differences, I guess, in the opportunities that the children are given in both of these types of environments and the facilities as well. Jonesy, do you feel that from a fee-paying school side, that the advantages that the kids at your school get are so much greater than at Saj's school that it borders on it being unfair, I guess?
It's an easy argument that you could stand on for sure, but I think the difficulty in state schools now is, I think, gone are the days where your PE teacher would be there for many hours after school giving their time up, and I think that's the big difference. Whereas in the private sector, it's built into your teaching day. So I know that as part of my day, I am delivering the service for which they're paying. And so then you have that expectation, and the difficulty talking to other teachers in the state sector around the place is actually the pressures they're under. And then, so to give up that extra time, you think of minibus. Not all schools have minibuses to be able to move them around, the equipment, but a big factor is the time of the teachers. They're under so much pressure. And so then to be out until 7:00 at night, I think that mindset's switched a lot. So I don't think to call it unfair isn't right. And I'd never go at the fair unfair thing. I think that at a fee paying school, you're expecting to have that sort of service. Whereas a state school, you used to get that from the teachers, but dynamics have changed a lot. So for something like this Knight Stokes Trophy, to allow teachers to buy into it and give them something to really sort of aim for. And it has been a big push to get the parity between the private sector and state sector, because there must be so many kids in the state sector that are amazing cricketers, but just not quite getting the opportunity. So the MCC doing what they're doing with this, but I wouldn't like to get to call it unfair. I don't see my role in the private school looking at a state school going, well, that's unfair. They're getting far more than I am. I'm on the side of, well, absolutely give them all the help that they need, because we just want to see more cricketers playing at clubs and everything like that, and then hopefully creating a stronger England team.
Saj, on your side, assume A, that your school does have a cricket team, and B, if they do, where is the ground in the school? Do you have to go out and use like club facilities? How does that work?
Now, like I said before, we're pretty lucky. So we have a 14-lane wicket and outdoor nets and that sort of stuff. We sort of partner with Middlesex and the ECB, and they help fund a lot of that stuff. So
Okay.
we were actually very lucky. But going off what Jonesy said about the private sector helping out the state schools, I think that's important just to recognize, because part of this Knight Stokes Cup, we've had over 1,000 teams, over 800 schools enter. But we've also had around 100 private schools who have offered up their facilities for the state schools to then go and play or train at, or indoor facilities to train or whatever. So it's simple. And actually, it was quite nice and humbling to see as many private schools trying to get involved. And there's so many that we probably won't even look to use all of them this first year. But the fact that many have actually put their hands up and said, look, we'll help with facilities, equipment, whatever you need, just let us know. I think is absolutely amazing that we know that's sort of happening from the private schools. So that's really good.
And that's something I didn't know was happening, Saj. So
Yeah.
that's something tomorrow I'll be in there, sort of communicating that as part of it. That is something we can do, because we're very aware of the situation we're in. So if we can help out with that, and especially, like I say, where I am in Thanet, it's a tough area, and so there's a number of schools that just don't have the facility. Our facilities
Absolutely.
are incredible.
Yeah.
So I'll be in there chatting to the director of sport tomorrow and trying to get reach out to see what schools have entered the trophy locally, and
Yeah.
I'll be speaking about what can we do to help them.
No, that'd be amazing, because that's one of the first things I mentioned. I'm like, well, what about state schools who don't have facilities?
Mm.
So then they reached out, and we had 100. And Jonesy, like, if you get involved as well with like your school and offering that service around that area, it's only going to be helpful, isn't it? So that's really good.
And I guess also there are local clubs as well, whose grounds are only used Saturday, Sunday. So in the week, school week, they've got facilities that are sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. So there's a few club grounds as well that we'll use as well. So like I said, I think the good thing about this is the whole community is getting
Yeah.
behind the whole thing. And it's not just like we're private schools or we're a cricket club and we don't want to get involved in it. This is the MCC and the state schools. You guys deal with it. They've all been very forthcoming of, let's actually make this happen. Let's actually make it work. And the fact that it's only an under-15s tournament for the first year, and to have over 1,000 teams enter, I think is really good. We were chatting about it a few weeks ago, and we said, well, when do we go to different age groups? So they're like, we're going to look to get the logistics right in the next year or 2 years, and then we'll look to expand it. And I think with as many schools, private schools and clubs that have come forward, I think facilities should not be a problem, which is an amazing place to be at.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think that, let's say, should it be legislated such that every state school should have at least one school cricket team?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Yeah, I do believe that. And a lot of the time, state schools, because they don't have the facilities, they don't play, and that's as simple as that. And like Jonesy mentioned before, in state school sectors, I've been to matches where state school teachers, they don't want to stay past 6 o'clock for a game, and they're like, we've had just teach all the way till 4:30. Cricket, they get to the ground before you start. It's about 5, just before 5, and they want a quick 6-7 over game, and they want to go home. So it's like, okay, that's fine, but our kids going to enjoy doing that, and at the same time, are they going to get enough cricket that will actually get them involved in the game? You might have 4 or 5 bowlers and 3 or 4 people who bat, and that's it. The rest of the guys aren't doing anything. So So yeah, I definitely do think state schools should have a cricket team. Obviously, there'll be the obvious hurdles in regards to the facilities and equipment and that sort of stuff. But hopefully, with the Knight Stokes Cup, we make more state schools aware of partnerships between clubs and private schools, where then they can start to build that slowly, where all of a sudden, going from playing no cricket at all, can they go and play once a week or once, even a month, go and use a private school or a club, especially in the summer. Outdoor facilities, can they just go and do that? And I think that's important. I think that's very important, because in state school cricket, in state school, should I say, cricket isn't seen to be a cool thing. It's very much football.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of peer pressure, I feel, as well, sometimes when students come to play cricket. I've had people drop out because their peers are like, you're playing cricket and it's not that cool and blah, blah, blah. So I think the more we play that and the more competition like the hundreds and all this start to become cool, I think that will really help, especially the state sector. I think in private school it's a bit different. They play. And I think the mentality around private school stuff is a little bit different. It's more competitive. They want to play for the first team, and then they got the pathways and all that sort of stuff. They got nice facilities. So I think it's slightly different outlook on the sport. Where state schools, I think everyone plays football, which is fine, because it is you need a ball and you can just do with 2 cones. Cricket, you actually need the facilities there. So, hopefully the Knight Stokes Cup really helps that.
Yeah, I think between that, the Knight Stokes Trophy, and Reeqip, I think cricket's in good hands as far as being able to make it more accessible and more affordable for the kids who want to play the game. Please remember to like and subscribe and enjoy the rest of the show. That's the serious stuff over with, Jonesy. We've learned a lot there, haven't we? It's great to see you, Saj, and all the great things we're involved with. In my rubbish briefing that I gave you before we started, we do this thing called Silly Point that started when we did our Ashes. It was Ashes true or falses. It ended up being, I think it ended up being a draw. It was, because you were Dormy 10 or something, weren't you? And I clawed it back. And then we tried Who Am I? The yes/no thing. I mean, it was just shambles, to be honest with you. So last week we went with which cricketer broke my toe? The answer's Dermot Reeve. And I have to give so many clues to Jonesy to be able to get it. I thought I'd just do something where I just gave him clues or gave you both clues and you got a guess to it, right? So I've inventively called this Guess Who. Good work by me. And I'm going to read you a line. And at the end of each line, you've got to guess who this person is. Is that clear? I mean, for Saj, it'll be clear, but Jones, is it clear to you? When he mentioned his name patch, he's the one that basically helps Jonesy in quizzes. So, and he's not here today.
All right, okay.
He's going to go solo.
This section should be called a stitch-up section, to be honest, Saj,
All right.
that's all he aims to do.
Got to keep it interesting somehow.
Okay, let's give it a go then. Let's give it a go.
Right. Statement number 1. I captain my country in more than 200 international matches. So at the end of each one, you can have a guess, or I can move on. It's up to you. And we'll do it it's Saj versus Geraint.
Ricky Ponting.
Jonesy, anything from you?
If he's wrong, does that mean I just win?
Depends on what you say. I mean, it's up to me, right? I'm the quiz master.
Is this
what are the
guess?
rules anyway? I'm not going to start blurting names out.
Yeah, Saj. Saj is on my side. It's a shambles.
The rules are whatever I make up as I go along, mate.
All right.
That's basically how it works. Go on, Jonesy. I
Okay.
captain my country in more than 200 international matches. Saj has gone with punter.
Yeah, I don't know. That's good. Graham Smith.
Incorrect, both of you. I was known as one of the smartest tactical captains of my era. Whoever shouts first can go first. It's not like a,
Is it Brealey?
I was going to say Brealey as well, but I don't know how many. Would he have captained over 200 games? Because they're not that many formats. It would have just played Test cricket, right?
Internet. It's too Saj. It's too obvious. So yeah. You got to think of Elway Sanjay.
You going for a guess, Saj?
Ooh.
I was thinking Moggs, but Moggs only really did T20, didn't he? Or did Moggs do one days as well? He did, didn't he? I think. Morgan.
Yeah, World Cup, didn't they? Incorrect. I scored over 7,000 test runs and captained my country for more than a decade. So test runs, ruling out Owen Morgan.
Mark Taylor.
Yeah, that's not Morgan.
Incorrect.
Can we ask you questions like
You can't ask me who it is.
which country is
If that
from?
was your question. That
No,
was his
which
question
country
last
is
week, but
from?
who broke my toe? Who was it? I'm not telling you.
I just wanted it over with.
Yeah, got it.
Is he Australian?
No. So I'll move on to the next one now because that's basically your guess. After retiring, I became one of the most successful coaches in franchise cricket. So to recap, I captained my country for 200 internationals, great tactician, 7,000 test runs.
Fleming, New Zealand.
Who?
Stephen Fleming, New Zealand.
Geraint
Very
Jones. The
good.
next one was going to
Very
be
good.
I played against Geraint Jones. So there you go, mate. See? You hide this under a bushel. You're
Very
not bad
good.
at this stuff, really, are you? You have some cricket knowledge after 10 years in the wilderness. You're bringing it back together again. Marvellous stuff. Talking of wilderness, this bloke might find himself in the wilderness for a bit. Liam Livingstone, who seems to have come out with a, I don't know if it's timing or what you guys think, but I'm going to read you what he said. He said that said communication from the England side or setup was poor after he was dropped from the side, describing the experience as eye-opening. He suggested that once players fall out of the team, they can feel forgotten, but added that he hopes to return to international cricket, possibly not after this, and is focused on performing well in franchise leagues to earn a recall. I mean, you guys have both been dropped from stuff. Is what he said not news really, or is it an indictment on the McCullum Key management style and partnership? Jonesy, you go first.
Well, it's not revolutionary what he's saying. That's for sure, because I think it's something that's dogged cricket for a while in all forms. There'll be a lot of county cricketers from the past that will have very similar stories, and the same with international. So I get his sentiment. It's from where he was bowling, he was sort of that revelation. He was bowling off spin and leg spin, and he could whack it everywhere. And then to go out of the side as quick as I understand why he's disgruntled with it, but unfortunately it's something that's been around cricket for quite a while. And that communication factor is what, as a player, you yearn, but your coaches and they move on pretty quick and forget about you, and you're still left there, sort of mulling over why you're sat on the sidelines. And it's something that crops up every year about the communication levels. That is for sure.
So is that something you experienced when either directly or indirectly when you were playing?
Yeah, you get that. I agree with Jonesy. I think the fact that when you play, there's a lot of communication, but then when you don't, there's literally no communication. I think they should improve that communication. At least when you dropped, okay, let's go and work back on this and maybe check up here and there, and that's it. Really, I understand it's very cutthroat. If you're good enough, you play. If you're not good enough, you don't play. And if you don't perform, you don't play. Simple as that. And I sort of know that more than most. But I think Livy's probably more upset more communication, not the fact that he should have been playing because he feels like he's performed. It's just more the fact that no one's actually called me to say, Livy, work on this and work on that, and we'll check up in a month's time or 2 months' time and see how you are. And that's it. And I think humans just want that. No matter who you are, I think communication, once there's no communication, I think that really affects people. And look, like Jonesy said, people move on, the coaching staff will move on. And rightly so. They can't just stick with players who aren't involved in the setup anymore. But I think that little bit of communication could just help that. I see where Livy's coming from, but Livy's also got to understand if you don't perform, you don't play. And it's as simple as that, really.
He also said that, which I thought was a strange thing, he said that someone, and I'm not sure that it was clear who had said it, told him that he cares too much, which is cited as one of the reasons why either he was dropped or he was not communicated with effectively. Jonesy, that's a strange thing, isn't it? I mean, what does it actually mean that to get to tell somebody that you care too much, and therefore you're not going to be part of the setup going forward?
Well, I did read the article earlier today, and I think, thinking of the coach's side, it's a clumsy way of saying to him about his approach. He clearly Liam mentioned about his upbringing and the way, him getting into cricket wasn't an easy process. And so he almost then, when he got to the top, he got put into this carefree, where almost being carefree was what's most important. You go out there, back your talent. And my understanding from reading it is that where he cared was in his preparation and to get better. And so he probably with that, he could have been quite demanding with what he wanted from training, the extra elements. So that's what I took into that. To be told he cared too much was a very clumsy way of trying to take pressure off him, and sort of them just going out there and wanting him to, the Bazball method of trust your abilities. And I think, when I read it, Liam had his background fed a lot into why he cared so much about his cricket. So the terminology that they used wasn't great. But up there, some of the stuff that Rob Key, is alleged to have said to him in terms of, I've got 100 better things to do rather than speak to you, that sort of stuff. And from an administrator, that's not what you want to hear.
No.
Like Saj, and we mentioned, coaches have got matches to prepare for, but guys who aren't in the day in, day out of it, it's almost there. That's a role for them to make sure that they tick that box really well. And then when a player feels that they come so as unimportant as Liam felt there, that he was number 101 of things to do. It's especially when you've been in the middle of it. Before that he captained, didn't he? It wasn't that long ago that he captained. So he's definitely got some points which are very valid.
Another sort of clumsy bit of communication, if you like, was it's been rescinded now, Sach, but the ECB had put a ban on the lads who were down at the Ashes, speaking with I think specifically the print media, the written press, outside of official ECB channels. That's now been, they've withdrawn that, but it's been reversed. What do you make of that? Do you think there was an underlying issue there of a lack of trust between, the players, or the ECB, if you like, and the written media, and they wanted to control everything?
Yeah, it sounds like it, doesn't it? If they don't want the players to speak to the written media, they clearly don't trust them. It's either they don't trust them or they actually don't trust the players. But I don't think it's that one. But I think there's a lot of stuff that got written whilst the boys were out there in the Ashes with the trip away to wherever they went to. I forgot where they went to now.
Noosa.
Middle of the Ashes. Yeah, Noosa, yeah, and they went to there. And then they probably didn't want that sort of stuff and fights that they got into or whatever happened. But obviously, all the players now are media trained, aren't they? I mean, I know we were media trained to a certain degree when we played. So them guys are. There's clearly something behind that, and obviously they've got a bit of backlash on that, and that's why I think they've sort of reversed on that now. But yeah, I mean, I actually don't know what it is and why they do that. Really, I don't know.
They just don't want anything spoken about the Ashes anymore, do they? And and they would have known that players going back to their counties, and we've moved on from the T20 World Cup, and so then to try and sort of give local journos as much as anything the opportunity to chat to somebody. If I think of Zach Crawley at Kent and BBC Radio Kent, they would want to speak to him about what his thoughts on the Ashes were and about his position in the summer. But yeah, it's pretty unheard of. It didn't happen in our time. We were never given that specific instruction. I think, Keezy's obviously clearly, Saj mentioned, a bit of trust there. And I know that he's had chats within that group about them being smarter with what they say to the press, sort of few of the lines they've used across the last 12, 18 months have sort of not come across very well. But to put a blanket ban on them was again, it was, we used clumsy, but it's added a bit more fuel to what on earth's going on, with this team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that just comes up from the top, doesn't it? Like the carefree thing, like when they say stuff, it's like, this is just the way we do it, and that's it. Take it or leave it, and that's sort of how they come across now, don't they? I mean, they chase 200 and they get out for 110, trying to smash every ball out of the park. Well, that's just how we play, They've got to take a little bit of responsibility, I think. And if people are going to ask them about the Ashes, it's the biggest series that we play as Englishmen, right? And the Aussies, and that's the biggest series you play. So the press want to ask you about the biggest series that you play in your career and what boys dream of when they're kids and girls dream of when they're girls. You should be answering them questions, and then that's part and parcel of you as a player and you representing your country. If people want to know about that, you've got to tell them that, and you've got to be available to do that. And I think that's probably one of the reasons they've probably reversed it now.
Especially local press, Sanjay, you'll know down at, with the work you're doing out at Hampshire, having access to these, someone like a Zach for Kent, he's not around very often. So the local media guy getting his opportunity to sit down with Zach and talk to him and find out information, because these guys don't fly out to Australia on tours and the international players don't appear at their counties that often. So, it missed a trick, because you want someone like Zach to be heard around the Kent and area, and to, kids listening to him and being inspired by him. But just further added to the nature of what, he's off with England. It's, just comes down and it's nothing to do with it. So I think that it was poor PR as well, where they would have given the chance for local radio guys to, to Zach and allow his opinion to be got out there to the fans that will want to go watch him play for Kent.
Someone who's going to have to get used to all of that stuff this summer is James Coles, 21-year-old Sussex all-rounder who got bought by the London Spirit in the auction that took place last week for £390,000. I think his Sussex contract's like 30 grand or something. I don't know how much you guys know about him, but what makes him special? What makes the London Spirit want to pay $391,000 for a spinning all-rounder? Saj?
I mean, I've never come across him before, up until the 100. But I spoke to a few guys who sort of watched county cricket, and they said that he's a good spinner and whacks the ball. But look, I think people like Mo Bobat, who has been in talent ID for a long time, did a lot of stuff with England and now is with the RCB and does some football, I think Derby County, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
They obviously look at these patterns, right, on how players develop or what they've done so far, and then they sort of marry them up with current players or players who've been successful. And then they've clearly seen him and thought, you know what, he's worth investing in, and this is the type of person that we want. And they might just be looking, firstly, he's probably performed. I mean, I don't really know, I've not watched it, but he must have performed for him to play or to get picked up. But then I think a lot of it is to do with the ID talent stuff. I think Mo Bobat would have sat down with the team and thought, look, this is what he's done. He's very similar to X player. So in the next 5 years, this is what he's capable of doing or likely to do, because he's got very similar patterns to that player. So it's worth taking a punt on this player. And I think that's what's happened with that. Apart from that, I don't know anything about it.
He did well in the SA20 for the Sunrisers Eastern Cape, and I think that's what put him in sort of in the shop window, if you like, for this auction.
Yeah.
Okay. Your love child went for 300 grand, Jonesy. Jordan Cox to Welsh Fire. Have you?
He's cheap. Yeah, he's worth double that. Coxie.
He was a player of the tournament last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, correct. And he can't get in the England side. Don't worry, mate. I've given my 2 penneth on this. But just going back to Coles, the other thing which clearly was an advantage for him was Andy Flower as the head coach, and Andy Flower's done some work with him, and his brother Grant works with Coles really closely down at Sussex. So clearly between, that was another thing when you have a head coach that sees something, and so that to link with the Flower brothers coaching him also must have massively helped.
Jordan Cox is his love child, because there hasn't been an episode of this podcast, Taj, where Jonesy hasn't brought Jordan Cox up.
All right.
So there you go. What else? No, this is interesting. Sophie Devine to the Welsh Fire and Beth Mooney to Trent Rockets at 210,000 each. Liam Dawson and Rashid Khan were 175. Do you think this shows the relative strengths of the women's game, and especially the women's 100 as a tournament in its own right? That's it.
I've not really watched much of the 100, to be honest. The first time I watched it, the graphics they confused me, so I just switched it.
Well, that green and pink.
It off, so I've not watched a huge amount of it. I do know that the women obviously play before the men's, which I think is really good for women's cricket. I don't think the price is really, you can't really compare too much with the price of them two, and then Rashid Khan and these guys going for less. I just think it's down to who wanted them and the demand of what they wanted. I'm pretty sure if you put Rashid Khan into a women's game, he'd go for a lot more than probably most. So it's quite hard to compare them really. It's just whoever wants to. And what budget they have left, because they had a budget, didn't they? Wasn't that budget? How much
it's
they can
caps and
spend?
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, working in the women's game, it's amazing. So working in the tier 2 stuff, so the non-professional, so all the girls in the Kent squad still have jobs, and they're trying to get into the tier 1, which then from tier 1 they choose this auction. So for them, it's going to be a massive driver to keep going what they're doing, because it's a real career now for women, whereas before, in these last few years, it's become an opportunity for them to be professional, to play the game that they love for money. And I don't know if you saw as well, there's a 18-year-old girl, Tilly Courtine Coleman, who went for 105. Well, she was in school last year. We just at a local school near me, Kent College, she was doing her A levels, and there's a story goes that she sits at the back. A good friend of mine teaches a business, and she was sat at the back, and she had just watched cricket, because she was obsessed by it. And what the teacher said, "Tulu, you're going to have to get your head down. You need your academics. If you're going to go anywhere." And then apparently she just said, "No, I'm not. I'm going to get rich playing cricket." And fair play. 105 grand later, she's doing pretty well. And she didn't even know that she was the highest paid spinner.
Yeah.
It's quite a nice little social media clip that she was talking, and she's that sort of girl. She's just going around playing. I think she took a wicket with her first ball in the 100 last year. She also took a hat trick. She's away with this big group of England players currently in South Africa. So, for an 18-year-old, but there is pressures that come with it, and that's going to be the big challenge with the with the women now, that men are used to getting these sort of, I know Coxie got a similar amount to play in one of the leagues over the winter, so he's used to getting and playing for that amount. But for now, for these women being paid 200 grand for 6 weeks work's incredible, but also is an element of performance that's needed to happen. And so for Tilly as an 18-year-old, there's so many eyes are going to be on her. And we talk about communication, and there's a bit of a welfare thing to make sure that she's managed well with that expectation to be able, so it's not overwhelming and too much.
Tilly and Max Dowman from Arsenal will be walking into school, or walked into school this morning like Snoop Dogg, after the weekends that they both had. Right, let's do quick fire. So no rambling answers. You ready? Just to finish this off. You can both. This is for both of you. Most annoying teammate, England or at your counties?
A long time ago. That was a long time ago.
You said no rambling, but I can't help but ramble with this guy. His name's Rob Furley. Furley, left thumb spinner, played at Kent, played at Notts, now is head of cricket at Bradfield College. I went on a pre-season tour to Port Elizabeth with him, and he would come up with stupid questions, but as well, he was trying to learn to bowl the doosra. So whenever we were in the room, all he would do was against the wall constantly. I love him to bits, but oh my gosh, there's only, he's one of those ones where you see your phone ring and you see Rob Furley, you think, how much time do I have?
So the next question was going to be worst person to room with. So you've answered one or two with Rob Furley, I'm guessing, of you. Saj, you had a whole, in that Lancashire changing room, you must have had loads to choose from.
Loads to choose. Now, to be fair, they were a good bunch of lads, actually. One guy that was really interesting to room with, or a couple, actually. One was Mr. Panasar, Monty Panasar. He'd wake up in the middle of the night and he's bowling into the mirror of the room. So you're thinking, well, what's going on here? So he was interesting. And then the other one is Ajmal Shazad, who I've roomed with before. And he's another early bird. So he always wakes up to a little fitness regime, sleeps on the floor. So we'd have nice comfy beds, but he'd sleep on the floor because it was good for his back. But you'd often find him at 5 o'clock in the morning banging out some press ups and sit ups or something like that. And like you wake one eye open, looking, and Adji's going up and down and doing press ups on the side. You're like, all right, okay, mate.
Jones, you
So,
played
yeah,
the biggest.
interesting.
Who's in your career?
What, you mean like a coach or?
Whoever you want, mate. Could be your dad. It could be a coach. Could be Varney. Could be Keys.
Yeah, well, I suppose if you're thinking top level stuff, and the reason being sat here, it was the opportunities I got for England. There's no denying that whatever they saw in me, they backed, and I was very, very fortunate for that to happen. And I probably got opportunities way beyond what I deserved time wise. So yeah, those to be able to be in a position I am now today is massive, from the backing I got from those guys. And I remember Saj abusing me one day. I think you were playing for Essex,
I
Saj.
did.
Yeah.
Not like me to
You
abuse
got
you, mate.
you got
Hey, when I
stuck
played
in.
for Essex.
Yeah, you got stuck into
No.
me. I told Sanjay about this. You
did.
You had a bit of a bee in your bonnet. I think you called me Fletcher's love child or something like that. And I was whistling past my nose at 90 miles an hour. I couldn't say much back to you. But yeah,
No.
listen.
I remember bowling at you at Old Trafford on that. Do you remember that really dodgy wicket at Old Trafford once? And the balls were like, you pitch it on like just full of a length and it's gone over people's heads.
Was it? That would have
And
been too
Keezy
good
was
for me.
batting, and like, I ended with 5 for at the start, and Freddie come up to me and Freddie goes, you can't be happy with getting a 5 for on that wicket. Everyone will get 5 for, so cheers.
I don't remember many coaches growing up, and that's probably more an indictment on me than anything. But once I got, I kept getting picked for England through, and so Vaughan and Fletcher heavily influenced that, no doubt.
Who are you, Saj?
Yeah, I would say, even though I can't remember Jonesy calling you Fletcher's love child, but I think it's because of Fletcher that I played as well. Because Fletcher loved pace, right? So I hadn't played many first class games at all. And because I bowled fairly quickly, Fletcher had me in the side. So I think he was a big driver of me playing for England at the time. Junior wise, and when I was growing up, definitely my dad was a huge influence. I played men's cricket at the age of sort of 9 and 10. And that was because his mates, he used to play in a league where his mates used to create a league, but half the time they never had a full team. So I ended up playing. So I was like sort of across that psychological barrier between playing junior cricket and men's cricket quite early. So that helped me quite a lot in my development. And then we had a coach who's no longer with us, God bless his soul, Jim Kenyon, who was under 17s Lancs coach at the time. And he gave me an opportunity to play. I went for trials, 15, 16, 17s. I never made it at Lancs. And then a bowler was injured. So he rang my dad up and he said, look, can Saj play? It's probably only going to be the only game he plays. And my dad was like, yeah, of course. And then I sort of went, played, did really well. And that's how I sort of got into the setup. And I think without that, I wouldn't have played cricket. I wouldn't be here on this show. I wouldn't have met the people I've met or had the experiences that I had. So I think Dad, Jim Kenyon, and then Flecky, I think they were the most influential, I think, in what I did in my career.
I am doing one coach a disservice. A guy called Chris Stone, when I first joined Kent, he recognised something in me when I went for my trial. I'd written him a letter. He asked me to come down, and he recognised something when I was in the hall there at Kent, amongst a load of, I was early 20s. There was a load of 16, 17-year-olds, and I ran down the wicket to the first ball I faced against spin and whacked it back over the spinner's head. And thankfully he was watching, and from that moment on, he then gave me opportunities, which then led to Fletcher and that down the line. But I've got to give Stoney, and he's a well-known coach around Kent. A lot of it for pre-season, whacking the balls as hard as he could, smashing into your fingers. There's so many players and guys I know who still recall Stoney catches, and he always used to bet me as well. He said, "I bet you drop a ball this session," and it was a given. So I was like, "Yeah, there's your pound, Stoney. Don't worry about that."
Saj, last question then to you. Who's the most famous person in your contacts list?
Oh, the most person. Well, it's going to be you now, isn't it?
Well, that's given, mate.
I would. I don't know. I was actually going to go through my contact list then. That's going to be long. Cricketing wise, probably, I don't know, Freddie, Jimmy, Amir Khan, the boxer, my cousin. I've got him in there.
There you go. Amir
I
Khan.
found Virat Kohli in
Fred.
there. I'm pretty sure that's not his number, but he's in there.
Yeah. So we're not going to ask you to call him. It's all right. All right, you, Jonesy.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've got the same with Daniel Radcliffe. He's in there, but I'm convinced it's definitely not his Harry Potter. I don't know.
He's a Kent. He's
Again,
a
we
Kent
played
fan,
a.
wasn't he? He
I
loves
don't know
his
about
cricket, doesn't
Kent
he?
fan. Yeah. Well, the reason I've got this fake number is because if you go back, we played in T20s final day down at Hampshire, and we played in the final against Middlesex. And I was waiting to bat, and I could hear a kerfuffle going on in the stands. I was like, "What on earth's going on?" And then, Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter, came walking around in an absolute state. He didn't know what day of the week it was, but he's getting pelters from the. So I grabbed him, and I had him sat next to me on the bench whilst I was waiting to go to bat into in this T20 finals day. But then I thought, here we go. I've got Harry Potter as a mate here. This is going to be world class. We lost. The next I saw him was in the Middlesex changing room celebrating with them.
Well,
And
that's
it sums
better
up
than
my
I thought.
life.
I thought you were going to tell me the answer was Jordan Cox, but clearly Daniel Radcliffe is a lot better than that. Lads, that's the end of that. Thank you very much, Saj. Thanks for joining Jonesy and I. See, I don't
Thanks
take
for having me,
the
guys.
mickey out of him that much. He gives as much as he gets.
You're decent, mate. It's all good.
Yeah, all the best with everything, Saj. Really, yeah.
Good luck with Reeqip.
Yeah,
Good luck with
cheers,
the Knight Stokes Trophy. And I will chat to you, Jonesy, next week.
Can't wait.
I bet.
Cheers, guys. Catch up soon.
Cheers.